So welcome back to another episode of Build Your Own Software. Okay, so we're building the physical activity move and stretch coach. We've already had season 1 and episode 1 and episode 2. There's the links there. They'll be in my description under the video. And the GitHub basics and the installing Java and TextPad. And like I said, you can use any old environment or IDE or editor you like. I'm just using TextPad. So if you want to follow along, that's fine. If you want to use your own editor, perfectly fine. And like I said earlier, if you're new to Java, you probably want to watch some of my other videos as well. Okay, so this week we're going to do, or this episode, we're going to do timers. And like with everything we're doing everything from first principles. We're not using any external packages or libraries, no Maven or Gradle, just plain old, good old-fashioned Java. Okay, all my source code's there, and my website is there. Okay, so let's move on with timers. Now, before we start, I thought I'd just check everything into GitHub. So I've created zip files here, so all the source code at the end of the first video, at the end of episode 1, and at the end of the GitHub video, where I create a skeleton, just a few lines of code. This is the source code at the end of episode 2. I'm just creating these zip files so it's easy for people to get the code out of it without a GitHub, without having to type additional commands. You can just download the zip files. Okay, so. And that way, if there's extra code, like if there's data files and things like that, the zip file will include everything for that episode, up until the end of that episode. Okay, so let's just put those in Git. So git add dot git commit -m add zips git git commit and git push. Okay, so we're pushing those up into the cloud, and we'll just check the status again. Git status, everything's clean, everything's up to date. Beautiful. Okay, so there's now in my Git up here in the cloud. Okay, so if you want the source code at the end of video 2, there it is. If you want the source code at the end of the video 1, after doing the GitHub video as well, that's it there. It's just a program header basically. Okay, so the zip files are self-contained. So if you're typing in commands to check out earlier versions and things. So a quick review of what we're trying to build here. We want to have 3 timers. This one here's going to tick down very slowly. It's going to have like a 60-minute delay till it ticks down to 0. And when it reaches 0, we want to fire off the exercise timer, which might make your exercise maybe 2 minutes, and within that there'll be a time per exercise, and that's going to tick down very quickly, maybe 15 seconds per exercise or whatever you want to set it to. We'll add a settings screen later. Okay, so we'll have these 3 timers. For now, we're just going to make them have short delays. So maybe this one might be 10 seconds, this one might be 5 seconds, that one might be 1 second, just so we can see them tick down, make sure they're working okay. Later on, we'll control them using spin edits. Okay, that's coming in a future episode. Okay, so that's what we want to build, just the 3 timers. Now this one tick down slowly, this one tick down slower, and that one tick down even slower. So this one here will tick down to 0, and then this one here will fire off. Okay, and while this one's counting down, this one here might be counting down many times. Okay, so that's the sort of thing we want to build. Okay, now the way timers work in Java, they're pretty easy. It's a little bit like setting up a button in a way. Timer, and we want to have a exercise period timer, or exercise period delay timer. Okay, that's the period between exercise, the time between exercise periods equals new J timer. And let's say we'll make that so it ticks off every 20 seconds. Okay, so 20. Okay, so 20,000 milliseconds. This is a nice little trick you can do with Java. You can put an underscore between your thousands if you want to. It makes it a bit easier to read than that. And what do we want to do when the event fires off? Okay, so we want to fire off a method, and we'll use lambdas again for that. And I might just move that down to the next line so you can see it a bit easier. And we want to fire off a method called start. Okay, so it's got a comma in there, and we're going to fire off the start exercise period method. Okay, so when this timer ticks down from 20,000 milliseconds down to 0, this method will fire, whatever that method is. Okay, so let's now add that method. Keep our methods private void. So that method is going to start off. So what do we want to do when we start a new exercise period? A new exercise period is starting. And we want to start exercises timer. Okay, so we want to start the exercises timer now. Okay, so let's do that. Let's create another timer. We're going to have 3 timers. And this one's going to fire off with 5,000 milliseconds. And it's going to start exercises. Okay, so when this exercise start timer, probably can call them better names, but you can call them your own names if you want to. So every 5 seconds, so the exercise period is going to last for 5 seconds. Exercises, let's call it something different. Exercising timer, start exercises. So when this timer fires off, it's going to call the start exercises method. Okay, let's now add that. Start exercises. Okay, so we've got 2 methods there, and we need the one more method, which is the amount of time that we're going to do exercising for each exercise we want to do in that period. And this will be an exercise timer. And we'll do an exercise for 1 second. I'm just putting in silly numbers here just so we can see the thing starting down. Do an exercise. Okay, so each second, while this exercising timer is counting down, we're going to do an exercise. Okay. So do an exercise. I'll just copy that code. Okay, so there's our 3 methods that we're going to run. So when this one fires off, we're starting a new exercise period. When this one fires off, we're actually starting the exercises or doing exercises. Let's just change that so it matches. Exercising timer. Do exercises. We might change it to do exercises. Or yeah. Just keep them a bit more in step with what the timers are called. Okay, so we want to start this timer when the program starts. So this is a big timer that controls everything. Controls in this case the 20-second countdowns. Okay, so we just want to start that whenever the application starts. So in our constructor we can do that. .start, and that's how you start a timer. So whatever the timer object's called, .start is how you start a timer. Okay, this one here that we're exercising, we want that only to start when an exercise period starts. So down here, when we're starting an exercise period, we want to say the exercising timer .start. Okay, that starts off that timer and makes this method run every so many seconds that the timer ticks down. This method here will run. Okay. So when this timer fires, let's just go back to our timers. So every time this fires, every 20 seconds, we're starting a new exercise period. And we're going to start this timer ticking at the start of each exercise period. And when that ticks down to 0, our exercise period is finished. Okay, and we'll also start this one when this ticks down to 0. We'll also start this one, and when this ticks down to 0, we're going to start a new exercise. Okay, so so we need these two timer names. We'll just grab those, Control C, and down here. So we want to start both timers. Exercise timer.start. Okay, so in this one, we're doing an exercise, so we want to select a random exercise. And display it in label. Okay, when this one ticks down to 0, like I said, it's the end of a... When this timer fires, it's the end of the exercise period. Okay, so we can see this in action if you like. I might add a counter up here, so a bit of class data, I'll add a counter. So it's just a counter, an integer. We'll make it private. Keep your data private. Exercise count. And every time we select a new exercise, we'll add 1 to our counter, just for fun, and we'll update a label. So let's now find a label we need to update, and it's that one at the top of the screen, that title label. That's the one we wanted to change. So title label dot set text. And we'll display exercise number plus the exercise count plus, in other words, we're doing it. Just dot 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 means we're doing it. Okay. And we'll set that to 0 every time the exercise period starts. So every time we start an exercise period, we'll set exercise count to 0, and this will count the exercises we've done in that exercise period. And when this reaches 0, that means our exercise period has ended. So we'll set exercising timer to stop. And we'll also set our exercise timer to stop. Okay, so we start those timers here at the start of an exercise period. We end them at the end of we stop them at the end of an exercise period. And this one here, we're just doing exercises. So that should be pretty close to what we need. Okay, so let's fire that off and see how we go. Control 1. Ah, yes, right. So actually, I'm just used to putting J stuff for swing. It's just timer, not J timer. Okay, so timer. Save it. Control 1, Control 2. There's a little app running. We haven't filled in our progress bars yet. Okay, so we might add a fourth timer, and that's just a seconds timer to update the user interface, the progress bars and things. So we'll create a seconds timer, seconds countdown. Okay, so seconds countdown timer. We'll have that fire every second, every 1,000 milliseconds, and it will be refresh GUI. So every 1 second, we're going to refresh the GUI. And so let's get into and create a new method called refresh GUI. And right down the bottom, private void refresh GUI. And here we're going to update the timers. Timer progress bars. Okay, so what we might do is save that, and let's have a look at our online help for Java. So this is my nice little, very, very useful. I'll put a link to this in the documentation as well. So it's Java help, but in a searchable compressed help format, which is just so good. The latest version he had on his website, last time I looked, was for Java 8. It's a shame Oracle don't produce this. Sun Microsystems never produced it either. But and Oracle don't produce it. They own Java now. But Alimat a guy on the internet updates these every now and again. So it's very, very good stuff. So what you can do is type timer, hit return, and we're using swing timers, not that it matters. And down here there's a bunch of methods, and you can get delays, get initial delays, all sorts of things like that. Is running, set delay, set initial delay, start and stop are the two methods we're using now for timers. But you can also do things like is running and get the initial delay and get delay. So they're useful methods as well. We might have a look at using those. And we might also have a look at ProgressBars. See if there's any useful methods in there we can use. ProgressBar. Okay, so here's the help for ProgressBars. And we're going to look at the methods. So it looks like you need to interact with a model to work with ProgressBars. So you can get the maximum, get the minimum, and get the value. So they're the methods we're going to use. Get maximum, get minimum, get value. So we're going to use those methods inside our code now. And the other thing we want to do with timers, of course, is to set the maximum, set the minimum. And at this stage, we'll just do that once when the program first starts. But later on, we might be doing it if they change settings on the settings screen, for example. We want to set the maximum to different values. So get maximum, get minimum, get value, get value, and then set maximum, set minimum, set maximum, set minimum. So they're the methods we want to be using for ProgressBars. A whole bunch of other ones too that are useful, but they're the main ones we'll be using for now. Okay, so this refresh GUI is what fires every second, because it's fired off by our seconds countdown timer. So let's update the main exercise period delay progress bar, which is this chap here, exercise period, next exercise period progress bar. So I'll update that. So first thing I'm going to do is set the maximum minimum. Set minimum to 0 and set maximum, and what we want to do is get the value out of the timer. So we don't want to hard code this everywhere. We want to get the value out of that timer. So exercise period delay timer dot get, and was it get value? Get delay. Let's go back and have a look. So this is our get delay. Yeah, that's it. In milliseconds. Get delay in milliseconds. Get delay, and we want to divide that by 1,000. Okay, so we want to just have that progress bar representing the number of seconds counting down. Okay, so if it's 20,000 milliseconds, we want to have 20 seconds as a maximum. Okay, so, and every time this progress bar, every time the refresh GUI kicks off, we want to move that progress bar along. We want to set the value. No, we'll do that in the refresh timer. Okay, so back down to our refresh GUI. Dot set. Go back to our progress bars help. Progress bar. We want to set the value. Back to progress bars. Yep, back to progress bar. Use the back and forwards button to go backwards and forwards. And we want to set the value, that one there. So we want to get the value, take one off it, and then set the value. Set value. And we want to go get value int val equals get value val minus minus, take one off it, and set val. Okay. So that's just counting down the progress bars. So this will count down to 0 once, and then it will go negative, which isn't really that helpful. So maybe what we want to do is set that. We want to set the value as well. Set value to rather than do this, we can do that again if you want to, or else we could just go get maximum. Get maximum. Okay, just say just repeating that calculation again. And when do we want to do that? We want to do it every time the timer fires off. So we might move that, leave that there, and we'll also copy that down below. Control C, and we want to also do that. Start an exercise period. So when we start an exercise period, that main time has reached 0, so the progress bar will be 0. So we want to also refresh it so the value is back to being the maximum again. We can juggle all this later. You'll see how it works in a sec. So I've had some problems with Camtasia crashing. So I was writing code and I didn't realise that Camtasia had crashed. It's not running well on this brand new laptop. But anyway, so I've done the same thing we did here for our next exercise period timer and progress bar. I've repeated that sort of code up here for the exercise time. So this is a per exercise timer. It might give you 15 seconds per exercise or whatever. And so I've got the exercise timer there, and it's exercise time progress bar. So this progress bar get maximum. So similar sorts of calculations down here, but changed for the exercise timer. And you've also got the exercise period timer, period delay timer here. So I'm doing that for the exercise time remaining because we've got the 3 progress bars. This one here counts down for the long period between exercise periods. This one counts down for the short period. That's like it might be 2 minutes of exercise time, and this one here is like 15 seconds per exercise. So we've got our 3 progress bars set up there, and we also want to do the same sort of thing. So that's in our constructor. Well, that's in our constructor with our other GUI creation stuff. Okay, and then back down here with the refresh GUI, when we take one off for this timer here, we want to also take one off for the other progress bars as well. So let's go and grab those. So we've got 2 other progress bars. I'll grab those up here. Just so I can copy them down below so I don't have to keep scrolling up and down. So back down to refresh GUI. Just paste them there for a second. So we've got the exercise timer, set val. And we also want to do that for the exercise time remaining progress bar. Now we only want to do these if those, in fact we only want to do any of them if the progress bars are actually available and counting down. So we might want to pause these things and stop them between periods. For example, we did that up here with stops. So these progress bars won't actually be counting down, so we don't want to take one off them. So we want to check if the progress bars are actually counting down. So I'll just set that val to 0 there and go val equals. I'm going to put some if statements here. For example, I'm going to say, so exercise progress bar, or exercise timer. Let's get the timers now. So just scroll up again. And there's the 3 timers I want. Let's scroll down again. Okay, so if the timers are active, then I want to take one off. Okay, so if the exercise period, so I want to do is active. Okay, and I can't remember what the command for that is, so I'm going to go and look in the help. Okay, just to show you how you can look in the help. And if that's true, then we want to do the okay, and I'll do that for each one. So let's just look and see how we find out if a timer is active. Okay, so I'll go back to my help. So let's look at the help for timers, and you'll see there's several ones there you can choose from. We're using a swing timer. It's got a lot more functionality than just a util timer. So let's click on swing timer, and down here you'll see there's so look at the is methods, is coalesce, no, is repeats, is running. That's the one you want. So if a timer is stopped or paused, is running will return false. So we only want to take one off the progress bars and move them along if the timer is running. Okay, so that's the little method we want there. Okay, so is running. So if that's true, then we'll take one off the progress bars. Otherwise, the next one, the exercising timer. If the exercising timer is running, then we'll take one off those progress bars and do the same thing for exercise. So this is a per exercise. Exercise timer. Okay, so, and we can delete those. So I'll just brought down, so it saves me scrolling up and down to get the names. Delete. Okay, so just to refresh, review the code, refresh GUI. If the exercise delay timer is running, this is one for the period, so I might have 20 seconds or 60 minutes, whatever between periods. So if that timer is running, take one off the progress bar. And if the exercising timer is running, so that's the time for the exercising period, so you might have 2 minutes every hour or whatever it is, then this timer will be running, so we want to count the progress bar down. And if the exercise timer is running, this is per exercise, so you might do hula hoops for 15 seconds and run on the spots for 15 seconds and that sort of thing. So if that timer is running, take one off the progress bar. Okay, that should be pretty close now. So we've got our refresh GUI working. We're updating a label to show that exercises are being done. We're after the exercise period's finished, we're stopping some timers so that they're not updating anymore. And start exercise period is running here as well. So this method here is fired off whenever an exercise period counts down to 0. So like every 20 minutes or every 60 minutes, whatever this method here will run. Okay, let's give that a try and see what's happening. See how that looks. And you'll see this one here is counting down, which is good. It's like watching paint dry, unfortunately, but we'll just watch it for a second. And so when this one counts down to 0, this one here should start counting down. Okay, cool. That one's counting down. This one here is not working too well at the moment. So I'll have a look at that. And this one here seems to have stopped counting down. Okay, so things aren't working quite well yet. It looks like there's some conflicts going on. No error messages coming up in our console window, so that's good, but we've got some problems going on here. And now this one's counting down again. Okay, so there's some weird stuff going on here. It looks like this one here is counting down. Okay, we'll have a look at that and see what's going on. Okay, so I had a little bug here in the constructor. This should have been exercising timer. I'd had the wrong timer there. I had exercise period delay. That's what was throwing things off. Okay, so that there should be exercising timer. It's a good idea if you keep these names and these names in sync. In fact, I might even do that change now. So I might make exercise timer. I might change this label here to exercise timer progress bar. I'm going to use the search and replace inside TextPad. Exercise timer progress bar. Okay, so I'm renaming exercise time to exercise timer, so the progress bars and the timers are exactly the same name, just progress bar or timer on the end. Okay. Exercise timer progress bar, so I'll do a replace all. Okay, and then I want to change this one. This one's exercising timer. This is for the exercise period. This is per exercise. This is per exercise period. For example, 2 minutes every hour. So I'll change the progress bar to be exercising timer progress bar. So Control H. Exercising timer. Okay. And then exercise period delay. Exercise period delay timer. So I'll make this one exercise period delay progress bar. Okay, so now that timer name is included there, so it makes things a lot easier to understand and keeping track. Exercising timer progress bar. Exercise, that's per exercise. Okay, so they're good names, I'm happy with those. And I've done a search and replace through the whole code, so the declarations up above have changed as well. Okay, so we've got the nice names here. Got to neat up the code again. That's all right. Righto, so that's it. So that was one little issue. Now, the other thing is what happens when start exercise period, do exercises, do an exercise. So I've also got it so it resets the value back to the maximum at the end of each exercise. That was one thing I was missing as well. Okay. So exercise timer progress bar set value. So once this timer fires off, or this method fires off at the end of the timer countdown, we want to set the progress bar back to the maximum. So this is the exercise timer per exercise. Okay, and I also just changed these things up here slightly as well. So it's still 20 seconds. I changed that from 5 seconds to 9 seconds, and from 1 second to 3 seconds, because that was just counting down so quick. If it's 1 second and 1 second delay, it was just going straight to 0, so you couldn't see it count down. So there's 3 little changes I made. Let's see how they look. So there we are counting down. Sorry about the paint drying. So when this gets to 0, this is counting down through 20 seconds. This should count down through 9 seconds. And this should count down through 3 seconds, because this is 3 seconds per exercise. Okay, almost down to 0. You can do it. Okay, this is counting down through 9 seconds. That's nice and good. This is counting down through 3 seconds. That's working great. And at the end of the period, those two should stop. And this one here should keep counting down. So we're getting ready for the next exercise period. Oh, and they're not restarting. So I need to set the timers back to the maximum again. Okay, so let's do that. So at the end of the exercise period, after the exercises are done, when the exercises are this exercising period's finished, I need to reset the progress bars back to their maximums. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so it's going to be these 2 lines of code here. I want that one and that one. So it's going to copy all of these for now. Copy them down below, Control C. And at the end of the exercises period, when the exercise timers are stopping, I want to set the progress bars back to the maximums. Okay, so I've just added these 2 lines of code here to the do exercises. So at the end of the period of exercising, set the progress bars back to the maximum values. Just ready for the next countdown. Okay, that's Control 1. Okay, Control 2. Here we are counting down throughout 20 seconds. When this reaches 0, this should count down through 9 seconds, and that should count down through 3 seconds repeatedly until this period gets to 0. Almost there. It's like watching paint dry, but anyway, that's what you get when you test timers. Okay, so that's counting down nicely, and that's counting down through 3 seconds nicely. This is counting down through 9 seconds. Yep, and then I should reset. Yep, beautifully, and wait till the next exercise period. And then resume counting down. Okay, so that's working perfectly. Now, one thing I do want to stop, just because I feel like stopping it, is during an exercise period, I don't want this timer here counting down. Okay, so I want to stop this bottom timer, the progress bar it's linked to, or the timer it's linked to, and so this only counts down when we're not in an exercise period. So let's make that change. So up here, when I start an exercise period, I want to stop this timer here. Dot stop. So I'll start those ones counting down, and I'll stop the one that works out the periods between exercises, so 60 minutes or whatever. And I also want to, so once I've stopped it, I need to restart it again, and I need to do it when I'm stopping these timers. Just down here is fine. Start. So restart it again. So when these timers stop, I need to restart the main one. Otherwise, nothing will happen much at all. Okay, so when you start those ones, stop the main one, and when you stop those ones, restart the main timer. And then I'll kick things off again when it counts down to 0. And that should be it. Let's have a look at that. Here we are watching paint dry, and we're counting down through 20 seconds. Oh dear. 10. And and this should start counting down. And while this one's counting down, this one should be stuck on the maximum. And there it is, stopped. Okay, so that's working great. When this one counts down to 0, this one here should restart counting down. Perfect. Okay, so that's working perfectly. We'll just make sure when this one counts down to 0, these ones restart again properly. We'll just make sure that happens. And as you can see, when you're testing timers, you've got to do a little bit of hanging around, but it's not too bad. You can set them to short intervals. And these are counting down, and that's stuck at the maximum. Perfect. Just make sure this one gets to 0. This should start counting down again. Yep, that's all working great. So that's all we're going to do for timers. We've got our 3 timers. There's other ways we could have done it by using counters and things. I think the timer way is probably the simplest. You've got only a little bit of code to manage and a little bit of code to update the GUI if the timers are active or running. Okay, so I hope that was useful. I'll put the latest code up on GitHub, and it's for video 3, so it'll be called version 0.03. And anyway, hope that was useful. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I'll just check it into GitHub while I'm on the video, just so that people follow through with this as well on their own and get in the habit of checking all your code into GitHub. So I'm going to zip that up. I've got 7-zip installed on my machine. You might just be using the standard zip included with Windows. I'll call that version 3 because it's video 3. I'll open the GitHub here, start git bash here, and we'll do our git status, and so the only changes are on our local machine. We can do a git pull just to make sure, if you want. Just make sure no one else has changed our code. Okay, so everything's already up to date. We'll do a git add dot to add everything. A git commit -m, and this is episode 3, or v0.00. How many zeros did I have? 03 timers. Okay, so this is a check-in for timers. I've got single quotes around my comment there. Okay, that's all done. And then a git push to push it up into the cloud. And there we go, our changes are all online. Up on my web page there, up on my GitHub. Beautiful. Git status again, just make sure everything's alright. Everything's perfect. Okay, so that's it for this video. Hope that was useful. Thanks for watching.